Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. And today, finally, we're doing the review of the TRM Bulldog. I know you guys have been waiting months for this knife. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of seeing it in pretty much every pocket dump short I do. This is my most carried knife of the year. I've got a lot to say about it. So let's go ahead and get started with our blade length measurement, as always. Sharpened edge is coming in here at just under 3 inches. We're going to call that, 2.9 inches. Overall blade length, actually just a hair under 3 inches. Yeah, so that's really, really awesome for people who might live in a legally wonky area. If you're not allowed to carry something that's over 3 inches, this is going to be great. And I've got to be honest with you, this does not feel like a 3-inch folder. It does feel substantially bigger. All right, size comparisons. Let's bring out the rats. As always, you guys know how it works. Very similar in overall length to the Rat 2, but again, this knife feels so much more substantial, and that's because the profile is quite a bit taller than the Rat 2. Okay, let's go ahead and bring out our Civivis. Here is the Praxis and the Elementum. Cool, cool, cool. Again, closer in size to the Elementum than it is to the Praxis. Let's bring out our USA made comparisons. There is the Bug Out, and there is the PM2. Sweet. Do I want to do any other size comparisons? You know what? Here, let's grab, just because I've got it kind of handy. Here it is against the Demco 8020.5. Awesome. Okay, so let me sit back down here. What are we looking at for our materials? Well, we have a very nice drop point blade made of Magna Cut steel. The handles in this case are titanium. We have a titanium pocket clip, carbon fiber backspacer, and this is an axis lock or crossbar lock. Cool. Let's go ahead and go cut some stuff. Well, guys, you ready to do some review cutting? I sure am, because we're doing review cutting for a knife that I've been wanting to do the review cutting for a long time. The TRM Bulldog. Let's go ahead and get this started off by talking about the action. So we are running on washers, but you would think it's bearings because it is very, very smooth. You pull that crossbar lock back and it just drops. Great, great action. Good tension on the Omega springs. Very smooth. You can see right there, the blade hole is a little bit tiny, pill-shaped. Doesn't offer the best traction. Now, throughout, regular use, I got the hang of it, especially just coming out of the pocket and opening it. It's easy to kind of let gravity help you. You can, I am not doing it good today. I did just tighten down the pivot. That might be why, but, it can be a little bit tricky. The reverse flick, wow, did you hear my knuckles pop? The reverse flick can be a little bit tricky as well. Again, for day-to-day use, I got the hang of it, and you can always just use the crossbar lock to flick it open. You can slow roll it. The action is very, very good, but the blade hole leaves a little bit to be desired. Maybe more than a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. Now, I think I have a solution to this that I will include in this video later, but for now I just want to show you what the action's like, stock. And it takes some getting used to. It really does. My goodness. But I should be better than this. I've had this knife for like 3 months. I've been carrying it straight for like 3 months at this point. Anyways, little bit of a learning curve with that action for sure. Let's talk about the ergonomics. This is the titanium scaled version. They've got G10 and things, of course. TRM is known for their, kind of Lego aesthetic. You can swap scales out back and forth. I love these titanium scales. They've got a little bit of milling on them, which is just beautiful. Doesn't really add to the texture. These are pretty smooth. But oh my gosh, this knife is so hand-filling. The contouring is perfect. This knife is so comfortable. You do have a 50-50 choil here that you can choke up into. This is a supremely ergonomic knife. And you can see here it's kind of rainbow shaped from here all the way over. Keeps that tip pointed exactly where you want it. And again, this knife just fills out your hand so well. This knife feels like it just wants to go to work. Like you can just really bear down on this sucker. Clip doesn't really bother me in the hand at all, which is awesome. And speaking of that clip, let's talk about the carry. So in this configuration right here, the clip is not reversible. However, the scale, the liners underneath the scales are tapped for a reversible clip. So if you get a custom scale or something that has a clip area milled out, you'll be all right. Kind of a shame that it doesn't come stock that way, because otherwise this would be a completely ambidextrous knife. But if you get one of these, you can get scales that will allow you to have a lefty clip, and the liners are already tapped for it. So not ideal, but you can work with it, right? The clip itself is titanium. Amazing clip, inset into the scales with flat screws. Love to see that. This is a perfect clip in the pocket. Yeah, it's beautiful in and out of the pocket. This clip works so well, slides really nicely over the titanium. This knife is a little bit chunky. It's a little bit hefty. G10 versions are going to be lighter, but it does tuck away neatly into the back of your pocket. You can get your hand down in there. It's not a huge item. It's pretty, compact. And I've been carrying this for months. I think it's good to go. All right, let's go ahead and do some cutting. We have a beautiful drop point blade here of Magna Cut steel. Flat grind, almost a full flat grind. Decently thin blade stock. Decently thin edge geometry. This is a little bit more robust than the TRM Neutron that I reviewed about a year ago. But the geometry is done very well. If I can stay in my cut. Yeah, it slices like no one's business. I'm not staying in my cuts today for some reason. Get down here to the table. You can get to that tip for your utility cuts very easily. Yeah, it's a great EDC blade. It's going to do all your EDC tasks very well, and it does have the robustness to, maybe be kicked up a couple of notches into some more heavy-duty EDC. I wouldn't say necessarily like hard use or abuse, but heavy-duty EDC, this should handle excellently. What is heavy-duty EDC? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. All right, rope pull. Felt amazing. I will say, this is not a factory edge. This is a Gideon edge. I did quite a bit of testing on Magna Cut, and part of that was sharpening it. So, keep that in mind. This is not a virgin factory edge. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that right there, that's just about perfect. Great blade shape. Get a lot of leverage on there. The blade is robust enough that it's got some weight behind it. It crunched through that, no problem. All right, pool noodle time. Here's where the real test is going to be. And I actually have a semi-mirror edge on here, which sometimes gets a little sticky coming through the foam. Kind of wish I didn't have that, but let's see what happens here with just the geometry. Oh yeah, we're not having any stickiness problems. Let's go even thinner. Oh my goodness, no way. Okay, so on that last one, I did go like very thin. Here's the other two. Very clean. No catch-ups, no binding. This side was from a previous cut. This top side is what we did just now. Very even and consistent through there. And then with this one here, I really tried to go just wafer thin. And for the most part, we did it. Had a little bit of a catch right here. But again, I'm trying to go like paper thin. That's not surprising to me at all. I think that little catch there was mainly just the thickness of the blade stock getting down through the pool noodle. That is beautifully thin. Yeah, this knife cuts and slices pretty much as well as I would expect a knife of this caliber to perform, which is really, really good. All right, give you guys a last look at that beast, and let's get back to the table. Alrighty, let's talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this gorgeous knife. And then we'll just start with that. This is a gorgeous knife. I think this is a really, really good looking knife. I've always liked TRM's design language, and it definitely comes through on this knife. That is something that I can really appreciate about a brand, when they have a recognizable feeling where you can just recognize when they're knives, you know, right away. Even without the logo here, I would recognize this as a TRM. It's not like this is the most, you know, revolutionary knife design ever. It's a drop point folding knife with a crossbar lock. There's a ton of those, but the way TRM does it is very recognizable as TRM. I think that's pretty cool. I think this is a good looking knife. It's got a lot of really amazing features. I mean, let's look at this titanium. The milling on this titanium is absolutely gorgeous. This is some of the best titanium I've ever felt. This is definitely the coolest titanium I have in my collection right now. And you can feel these milled lines, but they're so fine. They are so fine. It's almost and the other thing too is, like, if I go this way, I can't really feel it, but if I go like this, I can feel it. And so the knife has like texture, but not like grippy texture. It's still basically smooth titanium, but look at the way it's like chamfered all over the edges. The ergonomic lines is what holds it into your hand. It just feels amazing. And we'll talk about the ergos and stuff here in a little bit, but I think this is a good looking knife. Gorgeous stonewash, which is actually really freaking dirty right now. But stonewash is my favorite blade finish, and this is a great stonewash on this knife. And the other thing too is these are customizable. TRM is known for kind of having a Lego aesthetic where you can swap out scales, you know, very easily. There's tons and tons of scale options, both from TRM and other, you know, brands that'll fit these knives. It's really, really cool. This knife does come in a couple different versions. You can get it in G10. I actually think the G10 ones look really, really good. But this is a titanium one. And I gotta say, actually, I forgot to say this at the beginning. This knife was sent to me by TRM. So huge shout out to them. Huge thank you, TRM. They are an amazing company. I really enjoy that they work with small channels like me in such a generous manner. So, you know, shout out to TRM. They're a great company, and not only do they make a great product, but they're just great people. And that's something else I can say I really like about this knife. It's made in the USA. Love that. And the TRM company, the people over there are just awesome. They understand knives, they understand the community, and they're not just interested in making a product to sell. They're interested in being a part of the community, interacting with the community, and taking people's feedback into consideration. I absolutely love it. They're fantastic people. And it's not just because they've sent me a couple of free knives. I do appreciate that, and it shocks me that they would, you know, be willing to work with a channel as insignificant as mine. But also just talking to them at Blade Show, seeing how they interact with other people, it makes you feel good about their product, right? And it gives their products a certain feeling, a certain soul, which I really, really appreciate. Okay, so let's get the abstract stuff and the preferences out of the way, and let's talk about what makes this actually a great knife. And let's start off with the ergonomics, because the ergonomics are what stand out to me the most. This is one of the most comfortable folding knives I've ever held. You can see here that it is fairly chunky. Let's bring out that 80-20.5 again. You know, it's a fairly chunky knife, which is great for filling out your hand. But the titanium is done so well. You see here that we are very, very slightly contoured, but it feels way more contoured. This grip right here just locks me in so well. The way this handle is shaped is perfect. We swell in all the right ways. We taper in the right ways. The edges are all knocked down exactly the way they should be. This little well right here is perfect. That right there is an amazing grip. I don't feel the clip well, I do feel the clip. I know the clip is there, but it's not hot spot. You can choke up into this 50-50 choil if you want to. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of finger choils. On this knife, this is a knife that does get away with it because I think 50-50 choils are the best kind of choil. And it's a small enough choil to where I feel like you're still getting plenty of usable sharpened edge. But it's also big enough for my fingers, at least. I think it'll be big enough for, some people's fingers. It's a little bit close, right, with me. But yeah, the ergos on this knife are just phenomenal. We talked about the texture and the titanium. The scales are basically smooth as far as grip goes, but because they're shaped so well, this knife locks into your hand. And it's interesting that smoothing these edges, like this area right here, is beautiful to me. Smoothing these edges, smoothing that little point out, actually helps the knife lock into your grip. Sometimes when you smooth things over too much, it gets just slippery and, no bueno. But this knife is just, mwah. You can tell that the person who designed this knows how the human hand works, which is awesome. Next up, the pocket clip. This is a great pocket clip. Titanium clip. It works amazingly. You can see it's sunk into the scales with flat screws. This one is definitely starting to pick up some snail trails and wear marks from me. This is one of my favorite titanium clips. This works perfectly. You might think it's not reversible, but actually, if we look down in here, let me grab my a flashlight real quick. Do I not have a flashlight sitting here right now? That's really weird. Just a second. Guys, I am a massive idiot. Like, massive. Like, it's a problem. So I paused the video to grab my flashlight, and when I got back, I did not hit record. So I just filmed the rest of the review, not recording, because I am dumb. Anyways, man, I'm disappointed because I did something really, really cool that didn't get recorded. If we look in there, you can see that there are screw holes for a lefty clip. The scale is not drilled for a clip, but the liners are. So if you're a lefty, you're going to have to find a scale that has a spot for the clip, but you can do that. And then this is a completely ambidextrous knife because of the crossbar lock and the dual blade hole. So that is something that's really awesome. And I guess it's not really awesome that you have to maybe look around for an extra scale, but they do have the lefties in mind at the very least, right? So there we go. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and talk about this blade. So TRM does a very unique kind of drop point where they have these very, very low tips. I think it's a great blade shape. This is an excellent blade shape for zip ties. You can roll down on this little bit of belly. You've got quite a bit of straight, so it's good for long slices. I've used this knife for literally everything. Food prep, zip ties, like I said, opening packages, breaking down cardboard, all kinds of stuff. Everything that you can cut with a knife, I've cut with this knife. It works just fine. This is not the thinnest knife behind the edge. It's not the thinnest in the blade stock, TRM. In fact, this is maybe on the chunky side for TRM. But this flat grind is done very well. It cuts very nicely. And I really appreciated using this knife for sure. I never felt like it was lacking in any way. MagnaCut steel on this guy. This is my first knife with MagnaCut steel. And I made a whole video talking about my thoughts on the steel a little bit. I might have to do an update to that video. I enjoy MagnaCut. I really do. The stainlessness is excellent. That's not something that I always have to worry about because I live in such an arid environment. But I do a lot of hiking and things like that. I love outdoor activities. I sweat a lot. My knives get sweated on a lot. So I went on quite a few adventures with this knife, and it doesn't care one bit about sweat. This knife could be absolutely drenched in sweat all day, and it doesn't care. So that's really, really cool. The toughness of MagnaCut. I would love to test out a fixed bladed MagnaCut to really, see how much abuse I can put MagnaCut through. But one of the huge advantages of having a very tough steel on an EDC knife like this is that you can put low angle edges on there. And this is not the lowest angle edge, it's just 17 degrees, but still, pretty low angle edge. You can put that low angle on there and not worry as much about it being fragile or chipping out or things like that, which is really, really cool. That helps you improve the sliciness of your knife. And MagnaCut sharpens so freaking easily. It is one of the easiest sharpening super steels I have ever used, which is awesome. It's also amazing to strop. MagnaCut is super, super stroppable. So I've sharpened this knife twice, and you can see this edge has been beat up a little bit. We got a couple of flat spots on there. What do I have around? There we go. Got some graph paper. Still very, very sharp. The edge retention on MagnaCut is fine. I wouldn't say, it's not on the same level as something like, your S90Vs or anything like that. It's probably a 5 or 6 out of 10. Probably more like a 5 out of 10. But because it is so easy to strop, you can really prolong the life of your edge tremendously. The stroppability of MagnaCut is super impressive to me, and I really, really enjoy it. And I think stroppability is so important for a knife like this, where this is a knife that, again, I have carried nothing but this knife as my pocket knife for months. It has been used for everything. It's not like I'm out in the woods, beating the tar out of this knife, right? But it gets used every single day. It gets used a lot, like most EDC knives. And so being able to just hit it on a strop when I start to notice flat spots, or, maybe I get done breaking down some cardboard and I just want to hit it on a strop, just because, and having it come back to a hair popping edge almost instantly is super satisfying. And it's a great way to improve the longevity of your EDC knife. So yeah, the stroppability of MagnaCut is absolutely awesome to me. I think that's fantastic. But yeah, this blade, don't have much problems with. It works really, really well. I think it's robust enough to not be, fragile and chippy, but it's also slicey enough to work for your everyday tasks. I would say that this is an amazing generalist blade. I could use this around camp. I could use this if I was, back home on the ranch. I could use this around cutting hay string and things like that. But also for my day-to-day, making smaller cuts, food prep, it works just fine. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed with this blade, and the performance has been excellent. The way that the blade and the handle complement each other too should not be underestimated. I mean, look at this beautiful arch here. The whole knife just forms this smooth arch. I mean, that tip is always pointed right where you want it. You have so much control over this blade. And even though this is a sub 3-inch knife, it doesn't feel that way. This knife feels so much more substantial, which I absolutely love. It's great. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is the action. So smooth. Look at that. Just drops. This is one of my favorite crossbar lock knives. They did a great job with this. I mean, that is just frictionless. The crossbar lock itself, I thought might be a little bit too rounded, but it sticks out a really, really good amount. Focus up, camera. The steps here on the studs work really, really nicely. Whether my hands are cold or dirty, or maybe I'm wearing gloves, the studs are easy to grab, which I really, really appreciate. And this is running on washers, and it's just, I thought it was bearings at first, but pretty sure it's washers. I gotta check again. Everyone I've talked to says, I don't know. It's so freaking smooth. It's ridiculous. I love the action on this knife. It is incredible. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some of my complaints. And I really only have one complaint with this knife, and that's with the action. Not really the action, but the deployment method. This little pill-shaped hole is not the easiest thing to use. I have gotten to where, you know, I'm pretty good with it, and through my day-to-day use, I didn't really have much issues with it. You can see I'm struggling with it here, like on camera a little bit. The reverse flick is kind of awkward, but there is a huge learning curve. This is not the most intuitive opening method, and if you're someone that has like dexterity issues, like arthritis, or maybe you're just not that good at manipulating crossbar locks or things like that, you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this. It's a small hole. It's, you know, the edges here are, I mean, they're not like smoothed over, but they're not really all that sharp. It's kind of hard for it to grab you. But also you can see how close it is to the scale. You have this little thing that pokes out. And so the scales are like kind of trying to push you away from the hole. It is a little bit frustrating. You know, you can always slow roll it, but even the slow roll is not, you know, that great. Thankfully, I think I've got a solution for that. Now, this was the part of the video that I really wish I didn't accidentally not film. So we're going to tilt down here. Woo! This is cool, right? And what I did was I pulled out this little package, and I was all like, ho-ho, you know, dramatically, and I cut this open, and I dumped out these things. Yep, they're quick studs. They're quick studs. You can buy these on Amazon. They're very, very affordable. These are originally designed for like two-handed knives you want to make into a one-handed knife, things like the Buck 110 where there's no thumb studs or anything. Put this on here, make it one-hand openable. So I've already messed around with this. Again, I wish I was recording because, I don't know, I thought the commentary was kind of funny. But anyways, we take this little stud and we put it on here. And this little piece that you see in here actually comes separate. Just look in here, you can see that little piece there. You just plug it into the end there. And take your little Allen key and you screw it in. I think I decided that this was the best place. I think right there is going to be good. Awesome. There we go. I'm going to say not the prettiest thing, but it does completely change the feeling of this knife in hand. Really, really transforms the accessibility of this knife. Oh, maybe I got a little bit too close for the reverse flick. Nah, that's fine. Thumb flick works great. Yeah. Why did I not do this until now? You know, been carrying this knife for months and months. Well, because, you know, I kind of adjusted to it, but also because I wanted to do the whole, you know, show it on camera. I wanted to carry the knife in the way that you get it out of the box, you know, without any modifications for the review, because I don't know, I just felt like that was the correct way to approach a review like this. But yeah, if you're wanting to pick up one of these knives and you're worried about that action, you know, this is a $3 fix right here. And yeah, it does look kind of ugly. I actually might take it off. But it does make the knife so much more usable. I mean, this completely changes the feeling of this knife. And actually, I'm going to move the stud down just a hair to get that leverage just right, because I can feel it's a little bit not where I want it. There we go, right there. I'll do the trick. The other thing too, though, is that the stud, you know, does kind of sit in the cutting path a little bit now. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue, but it's something. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. So that is something that you can do to adjust the knife. Something I thought I could do is like, what if I could put it like in there, but I couldn't get it to go in the hole. Just sit on top on the spine like that. But yeah, there we go. So that action issue, you know, access to that hole, is pretty much my only complaint with this knife. So let's go ahead and get on to my final conclusions. This is an expensive knife. The particular version that you see right here is about $400 with the titanium. However, there are versions available for like $250 with G10, so that's awesome. Do I recommend this knife? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I love this knife. This is a knife that could be my only pocket knife. It could very easily be my one and only pocket knife. It does everything that I would want a pocket knife to do. It's durable enough to be pushed into some heavy EDC environments. It's so well made. It feels so amazingly classy. This is currently the most expensive folding knife that I own, but it's such a good user. You know, I'm not afraid to use this knife and beat the crap out of it. And it just, you know, it just keeps coming back, begging for more. Absolutely, absolutely love this knife. This is one of my favorite folding knives of all time. I can recommend it 100%. It's a great company. It's a great product. I like it a whole bunch. So there we go. I'm going to stop rambling because I've already filmed this review twice at this point because I'm the big dumb. But yeah, again, huge thank you to TRM for sending me this. I really, really appreciate it. Another huge thank you to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything they do for the channel. If you want to become a member and support me directly, there's a link down below. As for the rest of you guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.